Hey, 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 hey. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Freedom Friday. Freedom Friday right here on the Noontime My Time Podcast. It's episode 88. I'm so glad that you are here to have a conversation with me. And today we're taking the filters off. We're taking the filters off. Conversations matter here, and you are free to speak. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the things that are on your mind. Tell me the things you want to talk about. I want to know. We just rocking this beat out. I love it so much. I love it so much. I got to thank Aunt Cornelius. We're here today on Freedom Friday. And before we really get too much into it, let me go ahead and run that little intro. Hey, everybody. It's MsTONYA. It is Friday, guys. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, TGIF. You know what we got to say? Thank God it's Friday. Thank God I'm fabulous. Your mission here today is I need you to just take off the filter. Walk on in here. Come on in here. Bring your ears on in here and bring your conversation. We're taking the filters off. Conversations matter, and you're free to speak. You are free to speak. It is Freedom Friday here on the Noontime My Time Podcast. This is episode 88, and I am so grateful to be here with you all. I just want you to know that we are going to discuss whatever it is on your mind. What topics right now are really concerning you? Because I feel like it's important for us to celebrate the power of free speech, open conversation. That's what we need. That's what we got to make sure that we hang on to. We're seeing so many things change around us right now. So we've got to have these conversations. We got to know that we can have these open conversations. But they got to be progressive, guys. They got to be progressive. That's the only way we're going to bring about what we need, bring about some unity. So I'm asking you to just join me here and bring up your topics, put them in the chat, get them going in the comments. I see we got Miss Tori here already. She said, good afternoon. She's giving a good afternoon to all of us. How you doing, Tori? Always good to have you here. She's in D-Town. Y'all know where it is. They call it D-Town, Dollartown, Darlington. I hear you. She says, thank God I'm forgiven. Thank God I'm favored. That's what her TGIF stands for. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, Tori, listen. I see you in here. I see some people coming on in here. I want to go ahead and let them know what we're talking about today. We're talking about what you want to talk about. This is for you all. So as I welcome you, I got to let you know you need to get ready for this. This podcast is dedicated to free-form conversation where you are absolutely driving this podcast here today. All of you, my incredible listeners, I want you to have an opportunity to share your thoughts, your ideas. I want us to engage in discussions about topics that matter to you. I believe that everyone deserves a platform to express themselves and to connect with others. And today we're diving into the depths of some unfiltered conversations. So get in here, bring your ears, bring your topic, bring your topics. Conversation has and plays a very important role in society. Our freedom of speech, I know you don't want to lose that. The purpose of freedom of speech and the purpose of free speech and conversation in our lives, in our community, is to promote dialogue and understanding and progress by embracing diverse perspectives, engaging in respectful discourse, and working together. Communities can create positive change and build a more inclusive and harmonious society. That's important. That's what we got to do right now. We got to hold on real tight to that. We need to have these conversations in person, out here in these real streets, as well as in these internet streets. This is a medium that we can use to our advantage, because sometimes we may not be in the spaces that other people are, or a particular part of the country or world where we might need to hear some other opinions. That's what makes the conversation so great, because we're able to embrace and have diverse perspectives. Conversation, it allows us as individuals to freely express ourselves. That is important, because we all have unique viewpoints. We all have different ideas. But that diversity is what helps us gain a more comprehensive understanding of complex issues. We can discover how we can make some changes, how we can make things better. We can discover, solutions to some of the issues that we're dealing with. That's what speech does. That's what conversation allows us to do. It allows us to cultivate critical thinking. By engaging in open conversation, it challenges us to deeply have different type of arguments. Let's not think of arguments as a bad thing, because we can evaluate this. It pushes us to question assumptions, consider multiple viewpoints, and help us to develop well-informed opinions. Because there's nothing wrong with opinions, but we got to listen to other people's point of view as well if we're going to make a well-informed opinion. So I just want to know what you guys, what's on your mind? What's some of the hot topics right now that are going on, maybe in the news, maybe in your life directly, within your family environment, within your culture? What's going on that you guys want to talk about? Because you're free to speak here. Today's topic is open conversation. Free to speak. That's what we're going to do. That's why I am here. I've got it open for you guys. So come on in. Get on in here. Put it in the comments. I know you've got something on your mind that you want to talk about. There's a lot going on. I know I've got things that I could talk about, but I want to talk about how important it is to be able to have a free form conversation, to understand the purpose of free speech. We have to embrace different perspectives. It fosters a tolerance. It fosters understanding. Open conversation is really it's like a bridge builder. By actively listening to other people's perspective, we can cultivate empathy, some understanding. We can reduce prejudice. It's how we build society that celebrates and respects our differences. And we got to be able to do that. We need to be able to understand and know how to address society issues. Free speech allows us to do that because it empowers us to speak up. It empowers us to talk about and have conversations about social injustices. It allows us to put our voice to advocate for change. It is through open dialogue that we can address pressing issues like inequality, discrimination, and human rights violations. We can do that head on when we are willing to have the larger conversations, not the surface conversations. And even when we are using these mediums like what we're doing here with podcasts and social media, well, it allows us to talk. And a lot of people, anybody who's just willing to put in the time, anybody who's willing to use the platform, yeah, they have a voice. But what are we doing when we hear these conversations, when we engage in these conversations? Where are we taking it? I want us to have these conversations so we can take it somewhere further. We need to take it further so that we can collaborate and do some problem solving. That's what it's for, guys, because together we can achieve a whole lot more. Open conversation allows us as a community to come together, brainstorm some ideas, share experiences, and collectively find creative solutions. It's our combined efforts that make us make a real impact. We got to be willing to do that. You got to be willing to speak up. We can't stay quiet. We can't. I want to ask you guys a question. What topic or issue are you passionate about? What do you want to discuss today? What do you want to discuss today? What are you looking to hear today? When you decided to log on here, when you decided to listen to this podcast, what were you expecting to hear or to talk about? Put that in the comments, because this is an open conversation. You're free to speak. I don't just want to get on here and talk about what I want to talk about today. I want to hear what's on your mind. I come on here each day, and sometimes I will drive the conversation. I will curate the conversation because I have a particular topic. But I know that there are things that are going on that you need to be discussing, that we need to be discussing. How can we help you get that message out? How can I help facilitate getting that message out? I see we got Tressa Gibbs here. How you doing? Good afternoon, lady. She said, I'm planning to work. I'm so tired of our society. Wow. Wow. That's really deep. Because see, we don't want to get too tired. We got so much more that we need to do. There's so much going on right now. But I know that people can relate to that. I certainly do. And I see Tressa has here education. That's a topic that she'd like to talk about. She says, that's my passion. What is it about education? What specifically about education would you like to discuss? Because there's a whole lot going on. There's much going on. You know, we could talk about everything from, you could be talking about things that are going on locally with your schools and education, school district. You could be talking about things nationally, as there are things that we saw come down yesterday on a national level with the Supreme Court. Where are you at? All right, I see Tressa says, making it possible for youth who think it's not possible. I tell you what. That could go a lot of places. I think it's important for us to share with them stories and share with them that there are different paths to education. They've got to know that their particular education path doesn't have to be the same path of someone else. They need to see a diversity of different educational tracks. I like what your next comment here is. You said a trade is an education. I very much believe that. And I think that we need to gear our young people towards a lot of trades. We need to do that because so many people are doing technical things or in these technical fields, and we are beginning to see AI come into a space. So there are a lot of things that will be phased out for some people. But when you learn a skill, when you learn to use your hands, when you have a skill that is needed, that no matter what technology comes along, people are going to need, then that means you will be needed. And I like the idea of trade. We are always going to need builders. People are going to have to understand the art and the trade of construction. And that is on many levels. From being a brick mason to being an electrician to being a plumber. All of those are trades that are important. People are going to be having cars. We're always going to need mechanics. That is a trade. So many different opportunities that people are going to be able to explore, knowing that if they have a trade, a skill, something that they know how to do to be of service to people in the community, that's a big deal. And we definitely have to share stories and let them know how important that is. There are different tracks of education. And I see Tressa here, she says success looks different for everyone. And it certainly does. It certainly does. Even within my own family, within my two kids, they took very different paths in their educational pursuits. You know, my daughter, she got her undergrad. She went to college. She went to a 4-year university, and she went further and received her master's. She did that right after high school. That was the path that she chose and a path that worked for her. And then I had my son who chose a different path. He took a gap year after his high school graduation. He made a decision to go to a 2-year technical college. And after the technical college, you know, he chose a college and a path that would be able to transfer to a 4-year university because he knew that he wanted to do that. And the idea for him in choosing to go to a community college was actually quite smart, because going to the community college, there was a substantial financial difference. It just doesn't cost as much to go to a community college as it does to a 4-year university. And if we're going to be honest with our young people, we have to let them know that those first 2 years of college are pretty much those fundamental years where everybody's taking, you know, a certain course level, and you can get that at a community college. And all of those courses and those hours are going to transfer. And so by the time you go to the 4-year university, you've got 2 years under your belt, and then you get to go directly into studying your core curriculum, whatever it is that you choose to be your major course of study. And you've saved so much money. So my son did that with no financial debt, with no student loan. In fact, because of his scholarships and based on the price difference, it's almost like he got paid to go to community college because he got a refund back. And it was really a really good deal. You know, he's a guy, he's a money guy. He thinks about money first, you know, and even as a young person, and he's always pretty much been like that. And so now he is about to graduate from undergrad. He'll be coming out in December. And he's not going to be in like a whole lot of financial debt, because his first 2 years, he didn't have to pay. There was no need for that. So I feel like parents sharing those stories about their young people and the paths that they took, as well as young people sharing their story with some even younger people who are coming up after them, I think that will allow them to know that it is possible. You can take a different path. So I like that. I think education is important. I think it is a little scary for some people who feel like that is not possible. And I hate to even think that young people think that their education is not possible. So we got to talk to them. Y'all keep it coming in. Today's topic, I mean, it's yours. It's going to be what you want to talk about. This is open conversation. We are free to speak. I want to hear about some of your personal experiences, some things that have, in fact, some things that shape your perspective in relation to whatever topic that you're talking about. So if you give me a topic, what I want you to do is share a little bit about why you are concerned about this topic. What is your personal experience with this particular topic? And then that's going to allow us to have a conversation. So let me ask you something, Tressa. Let me ask you, why do you feel it was important to bring up education and the possibilities for young people who think it's not possible? Why Why is that important to you? Like, what type of experiences do you have around that? And give me your idea of, and your thoughts. Give me some type of perspective of what you think about this particular topic. Conversation is important, guys. Us collaborating and addressing issues is important. I feel like collaboration helps us in terms of problem solving. Together, we can achieve a whole lot more. You know that. Open conversation allows us as a community to come together. It allows us to brainstorm some ideas, share our experiences, and that way we can collectively find creative solutions. All of that is a combined effort. It's the combined effort that we make and that we have with each other that really make a real impact. You know it. I see Tressa here. She has commented. She says, I'm mad about yesterday's decision, but I'm from a grandmother. You know, yesterday's decision, and she's talking about the Supreme Court, taking down the affirmative action as it relates to education. I know there's a whole lot of people disappointed. A whole lot of people disappointed. And there definitely is a larger conversation to have. And it's one that I would like to have specifically as it relates to that. But I would like to have that conversation with some people who knows a little bit more about law, who have probably read some of the documentation. I haven't had the opportunity to do that. So far, I've only been listening, and I haven't listened to a whole lot. But I mean, I heard the ruling. I watched a few people who I respect in terms of media to hear what pundits they brought on. And I tell you what would be a good idea, because there's not a whole lot of Black media that we have the opportunity to listen to, and certainly not within the cable system. So that's why I like this forum. That's why I'm happy that we have these internet streets. We've got this forum to share media. Now, there's a lot of people out here who are having conversations about it. But if you want to listen to some people who I feel like are really putting in the work in a media type of way, I would suggest that you listen to Roland Martin. Unfiltered with Roland Martin. I watched a bit of his live broadcast on yesterday, and I got to tell you, I really respect the perspectives that the pundits brought on. I felt like they were really people who could have this conversation, because he was talking to educators in the Black community, presidents from universities, professors, lawyers, and then he's credible. Now, whether people have a personal opinion about Roland Martin, whether they like him, whether they like how he deliver, that's a personal opinion. But we have to be honest with ourselves and say, listen, he is bringing Black media to us, and I feel like we need to support that. We do. So I suggest that you go over and listen to him. Another person who I listen to who brings good conversation is Karen Hunter. Now, I don't know if she's made or if she's had any conversation around this particular topic yet, but I'm sure she will. And she brings on a lot of good guests as well. So we've got to support those people. And there are good people out here. That's just two that I listen to, that I like, that I support. And we need to support these people. We need to subscribe to their channels. We need to support them monetarily, because they're not getting what the bigger and larger media houses are receiving. You know that. And I'm not going to tell you what you should give, but I do know that giving does count, and you should do that. It's the least you can do. And if nothing else, you can go and you can subscribe and you can like and you can comment, because that helps too. And that's free. So you don't have to take $1 out of your pocket to go on YouTube or to go to their website and make sure that you subscribe. You don't have to pay a dime for that. But if you can give. You can give $1, give $4, give $10, 20. You can give $50, give $50. It takes a whole lot to bring media to you, to bring production to you. And I want you guys to understand that. I see Tressa here says, from a grandmother who only finished 9th grade and pushed me to get as much education as I could. So your grandmother did that. She helped you out. Let's put these comments back to back so that it makes sense to people who probably missed out. You said you were mad. Tressa said she was mad about yesterday's decision, but from a grandmother who only finished 9th grade and pushed me to get my education as I could. Scholarships are for everybody. They have to apply. They do. Scholarships are out there. It's not easy, and our young people, they don't want to write. They don't want to write for the scholarships, but I tell young people all the time, you just gotta do it. Nobody's going to come and invite you to the money. They're not. You've got to do what it takes to get it. And don't, I've talked to people who say, well, I keep writing letters. I keep writing scholarship letters and I'm getting the rejections and I'm tired of the rejections. Well, guess what? Keep going, because you're going to get a yes. I don't care if you get 50 no's, whatever yeses come through, you could use that funding. So do it. Do it. That money is out there. And if you don't apply for it, then definitely you won't have the opportunity to it. So we've got to find a way to communicate that to them. All right, Tress, I like that you're staying engaged here. Thank you for engaging here in the conversation and creating the conversation. And she says, I think that's a good topic, supporting Black media. Absolutely. People have no idea what it takes to bring media to you, and particularly on a good level. And like I said, what I like about Roland is because he's bringing people who are credible to you. He's going out here and he's getting these stories. He's not getting what the big media houses are getting. He's not getting what CNN gets. And let me tell you something, you're not getting a message on CNN and on the Fox they're getting from him. So I feel like the least we could do is support. I've heard so many people say that they don't like him. That's your personal opinion. I mean, I don't know him. I don't even know him to say that I like him, but I respect what he is doing. I know that it is for us. It is for a larger conversation to have. It's for us. This is news for us, by us. And if you want it, why wouldn't you support it? We got to support it. We got to. Support your local people as well. There might be people locally in your community who you see and are doing media, and you don't know what that takes, because you might go online or you might go live every now and again, and that's okay, but they might be doing it a little bit different from you. They might be putting a little bit more into it. They are producing and curating conversations and making sure that they're bringing something of substance to you, rather than just simply putting a camera in front of their face and freestyling it. We can do that. The opportunity is here for everyone to do that. But when you want more, we got to invest in it. We got to invest in ourselves, and we have to think about it that way. You dig what I'm saying? I see we got Gloria Anderson here with us. How you doing, lady? Good afternoon. She says, I've always liked to pay close attention to the young kids under 12. I feel at this age, they need more help from the village. In my opinion, I feel happy kids grow into happy adults. In the past, my daughter, who was given 20 brand new bicycles to underprivileged kids, and the look on their faces was priceless. I always try to put my focus on the younger kids. That's wonderful. It absolutely is. I tell you it is, because we got to get them those formative years. It's really important to let them know that someone cares about you. We got to give them some love. We have to give them some structure. And that is a very good age. I like that age as well. And you're very right. Happy kids grow into happy adults. Now, it doesn't mean you aren't going to have challenges in life. It doesn't. But if they got that core love, if they've been raised and they've got that core love in their lives, then they're going to grow up and be good people, and they're going to be good to someone else. Thank you for sharing that, Miss Gloria. I see Tressa here. She says, like you said, donations, like, share, subscribe. It's easy. It's easy. We can do some and a combination of all of these things. But if you just do one, even that helps. Every part of this helps. Every level of a donation will help, from $1 to whatever it is that you can extend. It takes a whole lot to run a production company. I'm a small fry, and it takes a lot for me. So I know what it takes for what I see Roland doing, and I'm not doing anything like what he's doing. It's certainly not comparable. And the reason why I don't is because of the cost of what it takes to do that. I very much understand how to do it. I very much could do it. But the cost of that, and I see him doing it, and I want to support that. He's doing it. So I'm going to ride my lane, and I'm going to support what he's doing. Yeah, I'm going to give a donation every now and again when I can. And I gave one on yesterday because I was listening to him bring this story to us as it relates to the Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action and the people that he brought on, and the story that I was able to hear that no one else was doing. No one else brought the people and the panel that he brought, and they weren't interested in that. We needed to hear that story from that point of view. I'm not going to tell you guys that, because you can go over to his channel. You can go over and view it, because you view so many other things. I see we got Jamesa here in the building. How you doing, lady? Good afternoon to you. She says, good afternoon, everybody, in her comment. We're here talking today about open conversation, free to speak. Just how important it is for us to know that we've got to share open dialogue. That's the only way we're going to be able to address pressing issues. And that's the only way that we can figure out how to work out some of these injustices. Figure out issues like inequality, discrimination, human rights violations. We can tackle these things head on, but that's going to start with a conversation. That's why conversations matter. We got to take these conversations off and out of these internet streets and into our communities, and put these thoughts and these conversations and solutions that we're able to come up with into action. Take the idea of the conversation from here and get in your community and have a larger conversation within your community, so that you can figure some of these things out for your community, your immediate surrounding, your educational system in your community. There's a lot to be done. There's so much to be done. It seems like we just have to decide what we want to work on, what we want to be a part of. Because obviously everybody can't do everything, but we can all do something. And if you can ride your lane and you can hold on in your lane and still be useful in some other ways, then I feel like you're doing your part. We've got a lot that we got to do. Y'all see it. You see changes happening around you. You see changes happening around us. Are you talking about it? How do you think open conversations like this contribute to fostering an inclusive way of coming up with solutions? Does it seem like the larger society is interested in what you're interested in? If they're not, who are the people who are interested? Are y'all talking to each other? Or are people just kind of here complaining? Complaining. You see something on the news, you run into someone at the grocery store, And you say, you heard what happened? Or I can't believe so and so and so and so. And then you go back home and you get in front of your TV and you watch Wheel of Fortune. Or you go back home and you're sitting down and you're on your iPad or on your phone and you're scrolling and you're watching TikTok. Now you're still upset about the larger news that you heard on a very basic level. But what are you doing about it? Is that conversation that you're having just a surface conversation? We got to do more. We got to do more. We got to. Free speech, as simple as it sounds, and I don't know if I should, and I don't know if even that's the right thing to say, not as simple as it sounds. You know, we know that we have it. We know that we have it. How are we using it? Do we know the power of it? Do we? Because free speech acts as powerful as anything else. You got to say something. You got to speak out. Speak out against things that you see that are not going right. It helps uncover corruption, unethical practices. We got to hold institutions accountable. It's through open dialogue that we're able to foster transparency and responsible governance. You've got to have these larger conversations. We have to. We absolutely have to. I see Tressa says, I love that. Do. There's a whole lot for us to do out here. We've got things that we got to do. Think about it. In the silence, I want you to think about it. This is important. We can't keep having these surface level conversations. Now, I'm open to conversations and I always want to talk about things. And I don't think that conversations always have to be a heavy conversation. I have conversations sometimes that I feel are lightweight, fun. I mean, we're whole people. I'm a whole person too. So I can do that. I'm not the news. You don't come to me for news. So I have the opportunity to do that. But I am going to tell you, and I am going to share with you where I get some of my news, who I find interesting, who I think we should be supporting in our culture. And I'm going to support people who are doing positive things, who are for the culture. Sometimes I watch some of the same things that you watch, and I could have my opinion about it. I'll share it. That's the whole idea of having an open conversation. Open conversation creates spaces where everybody has a voice and every voice is heard and valued. That's the type of space that I look to create. I want everybody who comes in here and who engages and types in the chat and get in the comments. I want them to know that their voice is being heard and it is being valued. I look to cultivate a sense of belonging where everybody feels connected and feels a part of something bigger, feels a part of a greater conversation. We need this because it strengthens our community. It strengthens our bonds and it fuels a purpose for us, a shared purpose. Y'all know what's going on out here. I see Tressa, she says, girl, and I got to say it like that because the way she typed it out, if you could see it, she's like, girl, you talking today. Well, the conversation is yours. I'm just talking. I see Malik here in the building. How you doing, Malik? Always wonderful when I see you get in here and get into the chat. He says, some folks do good things to hide nefarious agendas. Ooh. Wow. Give me an example. Give me a little example on that. Give me a little personal perspective on this comment. I'd like to hear that. I really would, as it relates to, because sometimes that's a very interesting comment you have here. Let me just read that again. Some folks do good things to hide nefarious agendas. Truth. It can happen. But in respect to them doing good things, what are those good things? Give me an example. Give us a little example here. Let us dig into this a little bit, because that can be taken on so many different levels. But I feel you. I feel you. I see Miss Gloria. She says, "Thank you, Miss Tonya, for having so many meaningful conversations." Well, you know what, Miss Gloria, it's you too. Thank you for being a part of it. I can't have a conversation alone. Otherwise, I would just be here talking. Conversation involves listeners. Conversation involves me listening. It's a back and forth dialogue. And that's what you guys do. That's what you guys do with me. That's what you guys do with each other inside of the chat. And I respect that and I value that. I don't take it for granted. Not at all. I know how important it is. It's very important. We have to nurture open conversation. That's important. I see Malik here. He says, some men play mentors to young boys and really want to manipulate them sexually by first feeling a fatherly need. Just one example. Oh my goodness. There you go. Ooh, I asked for an example and you certainly gave me one. I see Keep the Faith Victorious. She was like, ooh, wee, Malik. Yeah, you're right. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people are out here who do not have the best intentions. They don't. And that's why it's important for us to build our young people and have a way of communicating with them and letting them know how important communication is, so that when they run across people like that, at the very least, they know to come to you and talk to you about it so that you can provide the help for them and get them out of those situations. And if in fact, we are involved in their lives, there won't be room for them to get in situations like that. Those type of people prey on young people who they know don't have someone filling those roles and being there for them. So we've got to make sure that we are taking care of our young people, not just the young people that we have bred, not just our own children, but somebody else's kid too. When we're taking our kids somewhere, give that experience to another kid who might not be able to have it and let them be able to share it with your kid. That's why I feel like it's always important for kids to have friendships outside of their own neighborhood, so that they can see a different lifestyle, so that they can be in a family, so that they can be in an environment where they see a different family dynamic. So when they see that, it can make them think like, okay, they sit at the table and eat together. Wow. They watch certain programs together. Oh, they have a certain bedtime, or they have to do certain things. They have certain chores that they have to do. They need to see different experiences, things outside of their environment or outside of their own neighborhood. Oh, every Black person doesn't live in the hood. They're not from the hood. Oh, every Black person is not poor. No, they're not. And it's just as important for young people who are in the middle class or upper middle class, whatever, because largely this thing is about a caste system, but that is a larger conversation for us to have at another time. But they need to know that, no, we have different family values. We have different incomes. We live in different neighborhoods. But they need to be able to see it. They need to be able to see it so that they know that that can be a goal for them, so that they know that that is a possibility for them. And that works on both sides of the coin. You got kids from an environment who need to see this other family environment. You got that other family environment who needs to see that kid from the hood as well. Not so much that I'm saying, okay, that this is, you're trying to go in the wrong direction, but you need to be aware. You need to be aware of how to communicate and value people. I think that's important. And I think we need to be discussing that. I see we got Keep the Faith with Tori here. She said, my experience is dude pretending to be there for my son when his intentions were to be with me. And when I told him I wasn't interested, he slandered my name. She says, so Malik is on point. Not everyone has good intentions. We know that. We really know that as adults. And that's why it's important for us to communicate with our young people and let them know that. It's important for you to foster that open communication so that they feel safe enough to talk to you and let you know what's going on, so they will not hide it from you. Let them know that you're there to help them. You got to let your young people know that everyone doesn't have good intentions. We've got to share that with them. Keep the Faith with Tori says, people don't genuinely have good intentions all the time. There's a hidden agenda for some. Undeniably. It's unfortunate, but we face it. We faced it as young people. Our young people are going to face it. And it all still comes back to that communication part. You've got to make sure that you let your young people know that they've got to talk to you. We've got to know that we've got to be able to hang on and hold tight to our freedom of speech, because as we are watching so many changes happen around us, it makes me wonder what is next. See, as Americans, there's so many things that we take for granted and that we have taken for granted. And a lot of people like to think that politics isn't important. But politics certainly is important, because we watched it played out yesterday. So if you know anyone who feels like and who continues to tell you that politics is some BS, I know how you feel. I do. And it can be, but it's still an important factor in some of our rights and some of the things that are happening around us. It is politics that stacked up the Supreme Court the way it is now, that made that decision on yesterday. That was politics. It's politics that put people on school boards who make decisions for your school and for your children. That's politics. So I don't know what you feel. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. But you live in a big false bubble if you think it doesn't matter. Somebody needs to, you see your bubble got bust yesterday. I see we got Genesis here in the building with us. Good afternoon, ladies. She says, good afternoon, family. I follow Roland, and yesterday was a great conversation on the affirmative action. I agree with you. That was a really great broadcast. It was so great. I made a donation yesterday. I did. I was like, man, the way you covered this story, the way you got those people in there and the conversation that you had, we needed it. So people need to go back and watch that, right? The recent, wait, what are you saying here? The recent decision is an example of how the majority of the U.S. feels. Striking read if you have time for the justices. I'm sure it's a lot to read, and you already know that a lot of people are not going to read it. Let's be honest. They're not. A lot of people are going to get the sound bites from mainstream media. And that's why I feel like someone like Roland Martin, where he comes in and fills in the gap for us, is we get to hear the larger conversation as it relates to our culture, and from people and from the educators and from the leaders from our culture. we get to hear that. So I encourage people to go and take a listen. I encourage people to support. Keep the Faith with Tori said, I was telling my son that everybody don't have good intentions and everybody is not his friend. Absolutely. Keep the Faith with Tori said, politricking. Hey, politricking. What you talking? Hey, I wrote a poem about it. I did. And I wrote it from that point of view of a person, and I wrote it from the voice of someone who is incredibly disappointed with the political system. And you can be disappointed and still vote. You can be disappointed and still vote. You know that, right? And if yesterday does not prove that to you, then it's nothing that I can say. I see Tressa says, we'll be reading them next week. Hey, that's a lot to read. But go ahead and read it for yourself. It's good. I see Annie Lee in here with us today. How you doing, lady? Good to have you in the building. She said the good old boy system down here for sure. Oh yeah. We living in it. Anybody who lives in the South know that definitely we in that good old boy system. And it seems they want to have that good old boy system across the nation, across the entire nation. She asked, what happened yesterday? What I miss? Well, the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action in the education system. So go ahead and catch on up. Go ahead and watch Unfiltered with Roland Martin. Go to Roland Martin on YouTube or find him somewhere in the space. She says, what? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, they did. Struck down affirmative action. Now, I know how you feel. She says, I'm at a conference out of town. Listen, if I didn't hear it and if I didn't see it with my own two eyes and my own two ears, I would be feeling just like you. What? It's real. That's why we got to be having these conversations. That's why, some people don't like politics. Some people out here really not feeling like they have to vote, not feeling that it makes a difference, not feeling that it matters. It does matter. It matters. They struck down affirmative action yesterday. And let me tell you something. We should have known that this was coming because one of the very first things that they started playing with was the abortion rights. So they were going to start with women first. And when they were able to do that, I knew that there would be some things coming down the pipeline. Well, yesterday was affirmative action. What will it be tomorrow? Ask yourself that. What will it be tomorrow? So if you don't think that it's important to vote, if you feel like it doesn't matter, if you feel like your voice doesn't matter, well, guess what? It doesn't matter when you don't use it. It doesn't matter when you don't get the right people in the right positions. You see a whole lot of gerrymandering going on. You're seeing a whole lot of politricking, and you're getting so upset and so disgusted with the process. And I understand how discouraging it can be. I do. But I'd be discouraged all the way to the ballot box. I'd be discouraged all the way to when I'm punching that ticket because I know that it's still important. And if enough of us feel that it's important, then we'll be able to have some balance in that Supreme Court. We don't right now. They stack the courts up and it's going to be a long time. A long time. Because these people, they've got life terms. We need to be speaking out about some things. We need to be having conversations, deeper conversations. What happens if they take away free speech? What happens if they do that? Do you realize the wreck and havoc the absence of free speech would have on a community, not the community, in our nation? And I know you're not ready for that. Just having a little bit of your speech suppressed in social media is really interesting, because in a lot of ways on some of these platforms, there's certain things that you can't say. And I found myself in a lot of ways just really having to think about the next word that is about to come out of my mouth. Because even though I'm living under what is supposed to be free speech, I know that, hey, I can't really say everything. But when we suppress speech, free speech, people are going to be discouraged from sharing their ideas, from sharing their opinions. It's going to hamper creativity. It's going to prevent us from benefiting in any way. We're not going to be able to have different perspectives and diverse perspectives. There's no way that we can live without people having their individual voice, because you got to be able to voice your concerns. We got to be able to voice concerns for these people who are in these offices, who have power. We've got to be able to hold them accountable. We can't hold them accountable if we can't speak up about it. Not being able to have free speech is going to open more doors for even greater corruption, abuse of authority, breakdown of our communities, breakdown of our nation. So keep thinking you don't have to vote. Keep thinking it don't matter. Keep on thinking that. I see we got Malik Williams here in the conversation. He says, we need grassroots programs privately funded, like what's a Shula school? Well, listen, let me say something. We do. We could use more. We do have them. And we've had schools that were funded and privately funded. But if people aren't going to donate $10 or $20 to a media outlet, a Black media outlet, the only one that we have, which is Roland Martin Unfiltered, how do you think they're going to support a whole school system? But you're absolutely right. And we need to do it all. We've got to choose something that we are passionate about, and we've got to make sure that we make some type of contribution to that effort. I see Anna Lee here. She says, I have a few moments. Let me go catch up. Love and light. I have to go see this as I'm on a quick break. Respect. I see Tressa here. She says, I love that. Discouraged all the way to the ballot box. Yes. Well, that just happens to be my truth, lady. That just happens to be my truth. Malik here, he says, with all the gender legislation being forced, we must get involved now more than ever. For every legislation, we need to be involved. We absolutely do. For legislation, like what you're saying here, legislation is being forced on you and things that are being taken away from you. You need to be involved all the way around. We got to pay attention. That's why we're having these conversations. Malik also says that they have taken away free speech. Say the wrong thing, right thing. Exactly. I'm telling you, man, you have to think about what you're going to say on these platforms. You really have to be careful, because they will tear you down. And then also, with the type of conversation that I have, and particularly when I'm having conversations like this, I know already that this isn't going to be something that's going to be pushing the algorithm. It isn't. It's not going to be pushed. And I love all of you right now who are in a conversation and who support me many, many days of the week. I got love for you, nothing but love for you, and I appreciate it. But guess what? It's us who are going to build this. I can ask you, and I see that you're here. But if we don't share it, if we don't like, if we don't comment, if I keep having to ask people to go on YouTube and subscribe, if I have to keep doing that, which, that's a part of it too. But you got to be a part of that too. You got to put people on. You got to tell people to do it. You got to post it on your page. You do. Because we post so many other things on our page. We post funny memes. We post, people post what they want. People post what they want and they share what they want. But I do know that all of us, myself included, we share videos from people that we don't even know. So we've got to know who we need to be sharing. We've got to know who we need to be supporting. Because it's about more than just having, it's not just having followers necessarily or having subscribers. It's being able to get the voice out. It's being able to drive the conversation. That's really what it's about. I see we got William Stooks here in the building. How you doing, Cash? Always good to have you here. Happy Friday, man. It has been taken away to an extent. Right. And that is why I say people need to go to media, credible media, who's going to talk to you about this, who have pundits who are educated on it, who have read the paperwork, who've read the documents, and listen for yourself. You can't listen to podcasters or content creators. You got to go to a credible source when we're talking about things that are so important in our lives. Yeah, you can listen to content creators if we're going to have a conversation that we just got some opinions about things. Everybody's got opinions. But this is larger than that. And you got to know where you need to go forward. And we see here, William Stooks says, then you have to worry about the cancel culture. You do. It's unfortunate, but you will be tossed aside so very quickly for saying something that, quote unquote, offends someone or not within the same thought pattern of another person. But listen, free speech is to allow us as individuals to express ourselves, our true selves, to explore our beliefs and our values. And when it's restricted, people not going to be compelled to conform to anything. They're not going to be authentic. You're not going to get authentic connections. You got to be able to have that. You can't suppress that. Suppressing free speech suppresses growth. It does. In fact, I feel like it really would create more divide. If you understand what I'm saying, I feel like in the absence of free speech, marginalized groups are silenced and their struggles can be ignored. We can't do that. We shouldn't be doing that to people. It's going to widen social division. It's going to create an environment where discrimination and prejudice are going to be able to go unchallenged because you're not going to be able to say anything. If yesterday's decision that came down for the Supreme Court, it really should, like that bing, 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 should have gone off when you saw them starting to play with the abortion rights. But because people have such religious and moral opinions, and I don't think that they should not have those, they didn't really look at the larger picture of, okay, if they're going to turn this back, if they have the ability to do this, what is going to happen next? For me as a Black woman, when I saw that, I knew that if they did not respect that, if they felt like they had to turn back the abortion rights, if they did not respect that it should be an individual's choice, because I cannot tell you, it wouldn't be an easy decision to make. So allow whatever woman and every woman who chooses to make that decision to make it, because that is going to be something that she is going to have to deal with. Right? But I knew as a Black person, as a Black woman, it made me fearful because I knew something else was coming, because I know that, you know what I'm saying. You know, I don't even have to say it. If you're Black, you know. And if you don't know, then you really lost. You got a whole lot more to do than catch up. I see Tressa says, and I'll do just like you. I will be mad as hell at the polls because I'm going to vote. Too much went into it for me not to do it. Not only, we say that all the time, that too much went into it for us not to do it. Okay? And you're right. You're absolutely right. But we got to move. We now can move beyond saying too much went into it for me not to do it. Too many people lost their lives for me to have this right. We can go beyond that because guess what? You're seeing your rights right now, right before your eyes, being stripped away. So you know what? You know for yourself that there's a penalty to pay when you don't take it serious. You see it. I see Malik says, unless you love Bootsy William Stooks, I guess, what are you talking about? Cancel culture? Okay, I hear you. And they're having a little back and forth in the chat here. William says, Malik, you see what they keep doing to Bootsy? I don't know what's going on so much with that, but I can kind of imagine because I know him to be very vocal on quite a few little subjects. And that's what I'm saying. People choose who they listen to. I see Malik here says they definitely hate women. Abortion, and now anyone can classify as a woman can be celebrated more than an actual woman. Sounds crazy to be real. You're saying something, sir. You're saying a whole lot, sir. That's a conversation. I gotta tell you. I see I got Tressa here. She says, but in all honesty, sometimes it feels like that's the only reason I'm doing it, because it's my right. It's your right now. It was your right to have an abortion. It ain't no more. It was a part of your opportunity, affirmative action within the educational system. It ain't no more. You understand me? So think about it. What get ready to be next? You better take yourselves. You better go ahead to the poll. Y'all know what? I see Malik said they trying, bro. They trying all of us. They trying all of us. And I didn't realize it, but guys, I have taken up your lunch hour. It is past the hour, over 8 minutes past the hour. I thank you for coming in here. Freedom Friday, open conversation. We are free to speak. You understand? But you guys keep coming in with the comments. I don't want to just leave them out, so I'm going to go through them and see what I haven't read here. All right. So we got Tressa here. She says, I get it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm doing it, but it feels like it doesn't matter. It sure does feel like it, especially when you don't come out on the winning side. But that means we got to get more people in there. We can't give up. We can't give up. We can't. Malik Williams says, my mother used to say, and today still rings true, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't use your privilege. And soon enough, you're going to watch your privilege be taken away right before your very eyes, right up under your nose, because they've got some people stacked in positions and you don't even know how it happened. It happened because you didn't put the other people in office. That's how it happened. You see, we got Genesis here. She says, the cancel politics culture has taken over. The I don't vote culture. The who cares about government. There's no structure in our community for a greater following to rally our people for change. Black people take $250 to campaign for a white candidate, but won't take $100 for his community. Y'all see the comment up here? And for those of you who do not see the comment, let me just read it one more time. Again, the cancel politics culture has taken over. The I don't vote culture, the who cares about government. There's no structure in our community for a greater following to rally our people for change. Black people will take $250 to campaign for a white candidate, but won't take $100 for his community. She's saying something here. She's saying something. And beyond a white candidate, per se, let's just say a right candidate, the right candidate, one who really is looking to move the community forward outside of identifying with being white or outside of identifying with being black, outside of that. Like, what is going to work for the community at large? I see Tressa here. She says, I'm still going to do it. But it feels like I'm doing it just because. I'm not going to stop, though. Thank you, Miss Tanya. I see Danielle here in the building, Danielle Davis. She is on it. How you doing, lady? Always good to have you. I see William Stokes. How you doing, Cash? Still in here. He says, speak, sis. Listen, I'm not saying anything that we all don't feel. I'm not. I just hope that the conversation will engage you to take the conversation from here and take it into the community and do something. Don't have me talking for no reason. Don't have me here just wasting my breath. Because I'm going to tell you something. I do have other things that I could be doing. But I feel compelled to have conversation with my people because we're not talking enough. We're not having a larger conversation. Our attention span has become so short. We feel like these TikToks and these little memes, we let all of these become our truths. We share them unbelievably so much. We make people who make silly, simple comments. We like lining their pockets. We're lining them. We need to do something different. I see Genesis here. She says, they do remember when no one believed you could not punish your own child, right? They all up in your house, all up in your business. Won't allow you to raise your child or punish your child. Is that what you're saying? Because there's a system out there waiting for them if they don't know how to behave themselves. There's a system for a kid who's not raised in love. There's a system out there that can get them. There's a reason for that. You know it. I don't have to say it. For as much as we talk, there's a whole lot that can be said with no words. Malik Williams, he says, how do we vote for Biden after he said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black? I'm mad. At least Trump sent them checks. Well, I tell you what, that was Trump's plan. It's unfortunate. I mean, he gave you checks so you could be distracted so that he could stack up the Supreme Court so that they could make the decisions that they made yesterday. So whatever that little check did for you, I don't know if you even remember what you did with that small amount of money. I don't know how much that small amount of money meant to you. And you could say, well, you might think it's a small amount of money, but somebody else could think it's a lot. Well, it is a small amount of money to me, especially sitting right here today thinking about how so much is changing systematically for us for that fee. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. Not at all. I see we got Cash here with another comment. He said, we lost the village. If the village returns, our youth would be a lot different. Absolutely. We've got to put some focus on the village. We've got to build our village. I am a part of many young people's villages, and I've had many people who are part of my village. That's why you guys have never heard me have a conversation or identify myself as a single mother, because I'm not a single mother. I was married and I did get divorced, but I don't consider myself a single mother because I'm a whole mother who understands the importance of having a whole village, and I understood the involvement of my whole family around me. I didn't do this on my own. And a lot of people, they tell me, oh, you did a good job. You did a great job with your kids. And I can say thank you, but I didn't do it by myself. I do have a village. I appreciate my village, and every one of the people who are part of my village, they know who they are. Family and friends and people in the community that I respect and that I look up to and who I felt could make valuable impacts on my children, who I felt at certain points in their lives that I felt it would be important to have a conversation with those people. I knew how important that was. I knew the value of that. And I also know the value of teaching my young people, my children, to do the same thing with young people who are younger than them, to let them know how they achieved a certain goal and to tell them their mistakes. Let them know where they failed, things that didn't work out for them. Share that. People need to hear that side of the story too, because we do have failures. But you won't ever hear me on that single mother thing. Everybody's got to build their village, and I build mine, and I'm a part of villages because we have to be here for each other. We have to. A parent needs a little bit of time sometime for themselves, and it has to be somebody who can pick that up. A parent can't always, be in their kid's face and telling them what to do and keep shoving this stuff, what could seem like they're just shoving their ideals down their throats. You can't do that. They need to hear what other people think. They need to get another perspective. And kids don't always want to hear what you have to say, but they might take the message a little bit different if they get it from an auntie or from a teacher who happens to be a good teacher who is involved, or a neighbor who is able to communicate something differently. We're supposed to be able to call upon each other. So you're right, Cash. A lot of people have lost their village, and the village needs to return. We as parents need to know that our way is not always the right way, that they need to hear something a little different. We can't raise our kids to feel like no one can talk to them, that they can't be corrected by someone else. They can be, and they should be. All right, guys. You came on in here. You let me know what you wanted to talk about. It was open conversation. Freedom Friday. We were free to speak. We got to get out of here. I'm glad we were able to have this conversation, but we got to get out of here. But before we get out of here, you know what we got to do? We got to do that breath work. I always want you guys to be better, to feel better, to do things that are going to help you grow, help you on your journey to wellness. Take your journey to wellness serious. Look into some of the things that you're eating. Look into the way that you're thinking. And sometimes take that moment to stop. Take a breath. Do that for yourself. If nothing else, you deserve that moment. So you know what we get ready to do? We're going to breathe out of here. And I want you guys to have a good day. I want you to have a good weekend. Rock it out. Let's do some breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. And don't you feel great? I feel great. I appreciate you guys. If nobody gave you a smile today, if nobody smiled today, you just close your eyes and give yourself a big smile and see how that feels for you. Right? Y'all be great out here. It's what we do. One love, y'all.